Okay, so they're going to throw a few questions at you that ask you to find the equation for a parabola when you're given parts of a parabola. And some of these parts you may have not worked with before. So let's talk about the parts of a parabola as we do this. Okay, my first suggestion would be to, on a graph, place whatever parts you're given. They give us the vertex and the focus point. So hopefully you're familiar with a vertex. The vertex is, let me put that on this graph, at 0, 3. Remember, that's the place where the parabola turns. So if it's a parabola that opens up, the vertex would be at the very bottom. If it's a parabola that opens down, the vertex would be at the very top. If it were to open to the right, it would be this leftmost point. And if it's one that opens to the left, there would be your vertex. Okay? The focus point is a specific point used to create the parabola, and it's inside of the parabola, okay, always. So that would be the focus point. In this case, they say we have a focus point at 0, -1. I'll put the focus point in blue. Okay, so to this point, that's what I have for my picture. Now, the parabola will always open toward that focus point. So while I know not much about my parabola, I do know that it's going to start at this vertex and open toward that focus point. For now, that's pretty much all I know about it. It has the vertex here, has a focus point, and it opens toward that focus point. Now remember, we have two different standard forms depending on the shape of our parabola, whether it opens up and down or right and left. This is a vertical parabola since it's opening down. So we know it has the standard form, x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. You'll want to have those down, or at least written down somewhere, because they're not going to go away. And so we know that that in this formula, h and k are the vertex. Okay, so when we're writing the standard form, at this point we can at least put that part in. Okay, our vertex was 0, 3, so if we put 0, x minus 0, 4p times y minus 3, the y coordinate of our vertex. Okay, and I can simplify that a little because I don't really need that minus 0. So at this point, here is my parabola. It's standard form. There is one problem. This p right here is not helping me out. Now the number p, what it signifies on the graph, is the distance from the vertex to the focus point. Okay, so what we would do with our picture here, another good reason for the picture, I know you might be able to do it in your head, but another good thing about a picture is we can check and make sure, okay, the distance from our vertex to our focus point is a distance of 4 units, okay, to go from 3 to -1. So that tells me my p, because that's what p is in the graph of a parabola, my p is 4 here. So I can go ahead and finish writing this out, replace the p with a 4, and then just finish that out. So I have x squared equals 16 times y minus 3. Okay, and one more thing I want to check on is which direction did that parabola open, up or down? It opened down, and we know if a parabola opens down, this number in front should be negative. Another way you can tell that was negative is because we went down to our focus point instead of up. So there you go. X squared equals -16 times y minus 3. It's a little messy, so I'm going to rewrite it right here. The negative is kind of running into everything. Okay, that would be the standard form. So again, the first thing I suggest is drawing a picture so you can tell whether it's a vertical or a horizontal parabola and which direction it's opening. Then you write down which standard form you're working with, whether it's an x squared or a y squared, and just kind of substitute the values as you go. Let's do one more of those. Find the equation for the parabola that has a vertex at 4, 1 and a focus at 6, 1. So again, my first suggestion always on these problems is to draw a picture of what you've been given. The vertex is at 4, 1. Remember, that's the turning point of our parabola. The focus is at 6, 1. Put that in blue. Okay, and remember, our vertex is our turning point, and our parabola will open toward that focus point. So we know our parabola is opening to the right, this direction, because the parabola always opens from the vertex towards the focus point. That's a basic sketch of what our parabola is looking like right now. So notice it's vertical, it's opening to the right. So that tells us the standard form we're going to be working with is the one with a y squared. So we have y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h, where hk is our vertex. Our vertex is 4, 1. You want to be really careful with this. When it's the y, sometimes people flip-flop the h and the k, but remember h is the x and k is the y. So we have y minus 1 squared equals 4p times x minus 4. Now we need to figure out what our p is, and then we'll be able to write the standard form of our equation. The p is the distance between the vertex and the focus point. Notice we have 2 units between, from 4, 1 to 6, 1, you have to go 2 to the right. So that tells me that p is 2. And I can just plug that into my formula over here. I'm just going to replace the p with a 2. So I now have y minus 1 squared equals 2 times 4 would be 8 times x minus 4. I want to double check to see whether that h should be positive or negative. It's opening to the right, so that verifies that, yes, that h should be positive, because positives open to the right when you're dealing with a y squared. So there is standard form for that equation.